Now Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson talks about the need for cooperation between the U.S. and China. He said the next U.S. president should continue to have a dialogue with Beijing on the global economy. His remarks in New York are about 15 minutes.
Good evening, and thanks to all of you at the National Committee for the exceptional work you do for U.S.-China relations. As we approach the 30th anniversary of a turning point in U.S. and Chinese history, we also recall the strategic vision of the National Committee and its role in the historic 1971 ping-pong exchange that helped make resumption of normalized relations possible. Through visions such as yours, the American and Chinese people begin to understand one another and to see the benefits, indeed the necessity, of normalization. I am very pleased to accept this award in recognition of the work so many of you have done to forward the U.S.-China relationship. This is critically important, and I am grateful to see so many people here this evening who have led this effort, including my friend Duncan Niederauer. Congratulations to Duncan for your well-deserved recognition, and again, thank you all for the work you do every day in furthering the relationship between our two countries. Now, my remarks will focus on the future of our economic relationship with China. We will soon have a new president who will face the continuing challenge and opportunity of responding to China's emergence as a global economic leader. The world's financial markets are undergoing the most serious stresses in recent memory, and this financial crisis has begun to negatively impact real economies here and around the world. China is feeling this stress as well, but fortunately its economy is expected to continue to be an important engine for global growth during this period. In the United States, recent collaborative actions by the Federal Reserve, the FDIC, and the Treasury clearly demonstrate that our government will do what is necessary to significantly strengthen our banks and financial institutions, enabling them to increase financing for the consumption and business investments that drive U.S. economic growth. Through a multitude of powerful actions, we have and will demonstrate our commitment to unlocking our credit markets and minimizing the impact of the current instability on the rest of the U.S. economy. Addressing the effects of financial market turmoil around the world requires the dramatic steps we are taking here in the United States, and it requires close international cooperation and coordination. We have been in close contact with Chinese leaders, as well as with leaders of many other nations. And we welcome Premier Wen's statement that China will play a constructive and cooperative role in global efforts to deal with the current financial market turmoil. Throughout this turbulent time, I have stayed in close touch with Vice Premier Wang Qishan, who has now been appointed to lead China's newly established International Financial Crisis Committee. Our conversations have been useful and constructive. It is clear that China accepts its responsibility as a major world economy that will work with the United States and other partners to ensure global economic stability. Governments must continue to take individual and collective steps to provide much-needed liquidity, strengthen financial institutions through the provision of capital and the disposition of troubled assets, prevent market abuse, and protect the savings of their citizens. We must also take care to ensure that our actions are closely coordinated and communicated so that the action of one country does not come at the expense of others or the stability of the system as a whole. 10 days ago, leaders from the world's 20 largest economies met in Washington and found ways to further enhance our collective efforts to lessen the effects of global market turmoil. These meetings brought concrete actions that have supported world markets. I am heartened that the international community is working together for stability and to regain a footing of confidence. As confidence returns to the system, normal financial activities will resume. And we are all grateful for President Bush's leadership during this time. As the President said on Friday, the American people can have confidence that this economy will recover. We have a country where all people have the freedom to realize their potential and chase their dreams. As the President knows, Americans are a strong and optimistic people. Although we expect current challenges to continue for a number of months, we will overcome them as we have overcome every challenge our nation has ever faced. We will elect a new president 2 weeks from today, and our new president should start from the perspective that China will continue to play a key role in the world economy. As a matter of fact, today more than ever, the world is looking to China to be a big contributor to global economic growth. While some see China as a threat that must be countered or contained, I believe that the only path to success with China is through engagement. We must recognize that China's growth is an opportunity for U.S. companies and consumers, for our producers, exporters, and investors. A stable, prosperous, and peaceful China is in the best interest of the Chinese people, the American people, and the rest of the world. U.S.-China relations are more productive today than ever before, largely because we have engaged China as it is, not as we wish or imagine it to be. We have acted to lessen misperceptions and miscommunications between our countries. An important part of the engagement has been through the strategic economic dialogue established in 2006 by President Bush and President Hu. We have worked from the understanding that robust and sustained economic growth is a social imperative for China, and that Beijing views its international interactions primarily through an economic lens. We have worked with Beijing on economic issues that are of mutual interest, and we have found that we can produce tangible results in both economic and non-economic areas. Our recent close and frequent communication and cooperation as we address the challenges in the financial markets is a tangible example of the power and utility of a strategic economic dialogue based on mutual trust. Over the past 2 years, we have built a strong foundation for this dialogue by focusing on policy areas in which China's reform agenda and U.S. interests intersect. The SED has found new and constructive ways to address some of the most important matters in our economic relationship, including growth imbalances, energy security and environmental sustainability, trade and investment issues, product safety, and China's position in the world economy. Addressing these questions serves China's interest, and it is also vital to the U.S. and global economic future. The benefits of free trade are often spread across an entire country, while the lost jobs are more immediate and visible. But succumbing to the temptation to make trade and foreign investment a scapegoat only breeds support for isolationist policies that will make us worse off, sacrificing future job opportunities and higher standards of living. American investors in China and Chinese investors in America question whether the other country is truly open to investment and provides adequate legal protections. To answer this question, we sent a powerful and clear signal at the June SED meeting by launching negotiations of a U.S.-China bilateral investment treaty. Through these negotiations, we seek to assure our people and the world that our two nations welcome investment and will treat each other's investors in a fair and transparent manner. And we will work even harder to resolve a critical issue for American companies working in China: better enforcement of intellectual property laws to help China on its path to become an innovation society while accelerating the development and competitiveness of its economy. In the area of product safety, we have made real progress but need to intensify our work together to enhance China's regulatory and legal infrastructure to help them build quality into each stage of the manufacturing and distribution process. In the financial sector, we have worked steadily to help China develop and open up its institutions. Some in China look at the recent failures in our financial markets and conclude that they should slow down their reforms. But there is a great opportunity for China to learn from our significant mistakes and move forward with reforms that have the potential to produce important gains for China and its people. For example, a capital markets reform agenda will advance China's economic goals in 4 important ways. It will rebalance sources of China's growth to ensure that it is more harmonious, more energy and environmentally efficient, and provides greater welfare for Chinese households. It will create effective macroeconomic policy tools to ensure stable, non-inflationary growth. It will support China's transition to a market-driven and innovation-based economy. And finally, it will assist China in dealing with its demographic challenges. The SED has also provided an excellent forum for discussing the value of the renminbi. I am pleased that China has appreciated the renminbi by over 20% since July of 2005. The SED has shown that active economic engagement between the highest levels of U.S. and Chinese leadership can keep our relationship on an even keel, even as we tackle our most challenging issues and manage short-term tension. Chinese leaders understand that if the SED is to be sustained, it must be more than talk. It must continue to yield specific, tangible results, what I call signposts along the way toward transformational reform. We look forward to further progress in the ongoing discussions with Chinese officials and at our next SED meeting in Beijing in December. The success of the SED in the past 2 years have created a foundation of mutual understanding and trust and a platform for further progress. And perhaps most importantly, the SED has established a new model for communication, enabling us to address urgent issues such as turmoil in our financial markets, energy security, and climate change. I hope that the next U.S. president will expand on the SED to take U.S.-China relations to the next level. Thank you very much, and I will take a couple of questions. Questions? They're bright lights, so if there's questions out there? Yes.
Thank you very much. I also want to commend you on behalf of the folks who've had so much turmoil in this country because of the financial illiquidity and the financial crisis. I wanted to ask you a specific question relating to when will the Treasury begin to address the underlying problem of the mortgages, the foreclosures, the defaults, and so forth? When will we get to this? Can you give us a time frame? Thank you.
Okay, let me say you're very right to focus on the underlying problem of mortgage foreclosures. I would say that, first of all, for well over a year, going back to August of 2007, we at Treasury have aggressively focused on avoiding preventable foreclosures. And there's been very significant progress in getting the private sector together in a way in which we could fast-track modifications and deal with many technical and accounting and legal issues that had to do with the way mortgages have been securitized and distributed. And there have been 200,000 foreclosures avoided every month as a result of these efforts. Now, there's much more that needs to be done. We are working hard. Matter of fact, just before coming here, I had a number of conversations with other regulators. And of course, when we purchase mortgages, illiquid assets, whole loans, and mortgage-backed securities, we will have more leverage and there will be more things we can do. So there's a lot that's been done. There's much more that needs to be done. I get another question. Yes.
Thank you. Since 2005 to 9, Chinese renminbi depreciated 20%, and also it caused like thousands of factories. It caused thousands of factories closed down in China. Do you think further appreciation of Chinese yuan is a mutual benefit for U.S. and China?
Yeah, I think the renminbi is appreciating the renminbi is very important because I believe any market-driven economy needs to have a currency that affects economic reality, economic fundamentals. I'm not arguing that China is ready to have a totally market-determined currency, but if it doesn't have one that is driven by economic fundamentals, the economy is not going to develop the way it needs to, And it's in many ways an unnatural act to have a country that's is integrated into the global economy in terms of goods and services with a currency that doesn't reflect economic fundamentals. Now, although there have been some of the hardships you've mentioned, the economy is continuing to grow, and number one, and number two, it's continuing to develop in a positive way. I also believe that having a currency that reflects market fundamentals gives China a broader range of macroeconomic policy tools. So, in any of that, thank you for your questions, and thank you all very much.